Our forum is titled The Future of Business Technology Communications, and it's people like yourselves who show up to events like this that make a difference. Today we're going to have a lot of interesting speakers, high-impact discussions, and we're going to focus on our mission, which is to make sure that we break down barriers to knowledge by having subject matter experts on broadband infrastructure, telecommunications, as it pertains to large, medium, and small business. So those of you in this room, we have representatives from all market segments, and I think that the discussion is really going to allow you to walk away with the knowledge and confidence that if you haven't already embraced technology, now is the time. A little bit about BizFed Institute. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. I've been in the helm. My name is Kevin Harbour again. I'm the president of BizFed Institute. I've been at the helm for 5 years now, but we've been in existence for well over 10 years. We are the result of a vision by our founding CEO, Tracy Hernandez. Tracy, raise your hand. And our mission is to convene forums on opportunities and issues that affect the regional economy. So, for example, this year we started off the year with our transportation forum. And in that forum, we discussed mass transit. You guys know about the Olympics and a lot of the monumental challenges that our mayor's facing, but all 88 cities in LA County. How do we move people around efficiently? And we had people, from Metro. These are CEOs, right? COO from Metro. We had the CEO from Metrolink, Darren Kettles. We had the CEO of Foothill Transit. And we talked strategies, because you have to have the decision makers in the room in order to discuss the best path forward. And by doing that, you can build consensus. And by building consensus, it leads to collaboration, and collaboration leads to actionable items that people commit their time and resources to move forward on. So that's kind of the thing that we're going to do here. In addition to that, we had the Water Resiliency Forum, where we co-convened with Metropolitan Water District. And you all know about the drought that's happened over the last couple years. Well, we had the water districts and all those stakeholders within that arena, even golf course executives. But those that use water in their process manufacturing, believe it or not, water's used in fossil fuel and oil refinery, process manufacturing, you name it. So we moved from that to our housing forum, where we had Deputy Mayor Kevin Keller. And we had a lot of builders, engineers, contractors, you name it, talking about how we can fix this challenge. The interesting thing is that we had a couple of developers and builders that built over 1,000 units at $250,000 a unit, which is unheard of. And some of the folks that have been in our forums for the last 6 years are now on the mayor's team. And when she took office, she had a ready-made squad to bring in and make things happen. That's what we're doing here again today. Because I look out on this audience, a lot of you are decision makers, a lot of you are influencers, and a lot of you are subject matter experts. And that's what we want to accomplish. We've worked on the digital divide and on broadband infrastructure, and a lot of people don't understand really what that comprises of. They think, oh yeah, we need the ISPs to do this or that. As a former director at Verizon, it's not just that easy. There are a lot of things that have to be taken into consideration when you look at broadband infrastructure, and a lot of it has to do with adoption, devices, affordability, and the willingness of everyone to come together, including city managers, planning directors to make sure that when we build out this infrastructure, that companies like Crown Castle, raise your hand, Mark. Crown Castle is the largest broadband development infrastructure construction company in the United States. So, you know, the people that we have here, where companies like Verizon, and they have two key executives here. Raise your hand, Rex and Randall. And Jesus. My apologies, Jesus. And the point is we have the people in the room that are going to make a difference. So it's really important that we get all that we can out of this, and you know, that we walk away, because we also have organizations like NVIDIA. You know, you guys have heard of artificial intelligence, no doubt, right? It's important that you understand how these tools are going to be used and how you can integrate these tools into your business so that you can do things better, cheaper, and faster. And I'll leave you with this. One of the country with the fastest growing number of millionaires is China. You might say, why? Because China, there are small business people that were formerly brick and mortar small business companies. They began to leverage digital assets to grow their business. So when you buy something from Shein or Temu, anybody recognize those names? Come on now. We've all bought from them. And it gets to your doorstep 3-4 weeks later. Well, guess what? A lot of those companies are in China. And what they do is they have relationships with manufacturers or wholesale distributors. So you place your order, they receive that order, they get the money up front, then they place an order once they get a good number of orders in. They drop ship it to your door. You pay for shipping. And because of the volume, they get an aggregate discount. And it keeps going, and it's been going since COVID, 4 years ago. We need to adopt that here, now, today. We don't have any more delays. We have to prepare ourselves for FIFA, for the Super Bowl, for the Olympics. We got to do it now. And having a technology base is a way to do it. And one of the things that's most appropriate about having it here, Verizon has always been a leader in this area. They have been a leader in building 5G towers. They've been a leader in their affordable connectivity programs. They've been a leader in reaching out to the community to make sure that people are aware. But also companies like AT&T, raise your hand, Lupita. We just don't have, we have everybody here now, right? We got some balance here. The point is that we have an opportunity now to learn today. You're going to get a tour of the lab, the 5G Innovation Lab. You're going to see things in here that aren't readily available to the general public. And because of that, it's very important that you be here, that you ask questions, and that you network throughout the day. So before I go on any further, I'd like to pay a tribute to our sponsors. Without them, none of this would be possible. And needless to say, Verizon needs give them a hand. Okay, folks, I'd like to bring up Luke Wang. He's the general manager of the Verizon 5G Innovation Lab. He's our host for the day. Folks, give him a hand, please. You do it.
Hello. Thank you, Kevin. Like Kevin mentioned, my name is Luke Wang. I'm the general manager here at the Innovation Lab for Verizon. For those who have not been to this space before, number one, appreciate you guys spending your morning with us, and really excited to host you guys here for the day, show you guys some of the stuff that we work on in this lab and how Verizon's sort of contributing to the innovation economy. For those who don't know, our innovation labs are satellite offices for Verizon in different cities across the country. We have other locations in Boston, San Francisco, and obviously here, Los Angeles. This is the lab that we are in today. And we kind of serve a bunch of different purposes. One, we host events like this with community partners, different ecosystem activators, and try to spur innovation and technology advancements in the areas that we care about. We also do a lot of research and development testing in this lab where we have full 5G coverage throughout this entire space. And we do the tour later. We'll show you guys some of the different ways that we're integrating technology into the different fields of sports and venues, media entertainment, industrial, transportation, IoT. I'm excited to show you guys all the different projects we've been working on. And then lastly, we host a lot of customer events here as well. So over the last 2 weeks, I want to say we've hosted somewhere between 5 to 6 different customers. A lot of these are in Southern California-based customers that are local to our region. And these range from companies such as Live Nation, Mattel, SoFi Stadium, a lot of corporates and Fortune 500 companies. So we're excited because I've been part of this team for about 5 years now. The first 3 years were very COVID heavy, so we didn't really get to do a lot. But we really spent those years kind of building out this space in a way that would be useful and beneficial to our partners, our customers, and our constituents. And I think, couldn't be more excited to host you guys here today because I think this is a great representation of the public-private sectors and companies that we really built this lab to be designed for. So when we do the tour later, we'll show you guys some of the different technologies that we've been working on. It'll be a mix of solutions that are currently in market today, as well as different POCs and demos that are, I would say, more on the cutting edge, but are not yet commercialized. But you'll see all the different ways that as we move into a more connected world, connectivity really is the foundational infrastructure that connects everything together. And we know we're not a monopoly of innovation. We are the infrastructure level, but the companies that are actually leveraging the connectivity are the ones that are developing those use cases and helping us understand what are the challenges that they're facing as they move into this very AI-dominated world. So again, I'll be excited to lead the tour for you guys later today. Thanks for spending your morning with us today.
Who's going to be able to use all this technology? And we have, one of my colleagues from California Jobs First in the room. I'm the immediate and inaugural chair of the steering committee for the LA region for California Jobs First. And this has been one of our focal points, one of the areas of concern, but at the same time, the area that we're investing in to make sure that we have an upskilled, smart workforce to use this technology to allow us to do things better, cheaper, and faster. So with that said, one thing that we did leading up to this forum is what we've been doing over the last 5 years, 25 plus forums, is we do a flash poll. And we want to understand what's on your mind. So I want to bring up Bill Stevens with Employers Group. Bill's the CEO and one of our partners in this effort. Bill has been a vital component of bringing data and information, collecting data information to present to you. Employers Group is one of those organizations that helps with human resources, benefits, and generalized coaching and accounting to make our small business, medium, and large business community more effective. So Bill, I'm going to bring you up now. I got a microphone here for you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get this thing to move.
Is Blaine in the room?
I got the
All right.
clicker, but it ain't clicking.
Yeah. If it isn't, we got a solution. All right.
Excellent. Well, we'll get that set up. Thank you so much. Thanks, Kevin, for the introduction. Really appreciate that. It's always more than a pleasure. It's always just so much fun to be here, to be able to be part of these forums. and to present the results of these flash polls. As Kevin mentioned, these are really, really quick polls. These are things we do to try to help tee up some of the discussion that will take place at the forum, and we appreciate everybody's participation in them. One of the things I noticed, I want to stress that these are flash polls, so they're very quick, very brief. We try to keep it simple. And I'm sitting here, quick disclaimer, I'm listening to what we've gone over. It's like I've thought of 20 other questions we should have asked already. So I apologize in advance, but hopefully what we did get a chance to present or to ask you about will be helpful for everybody. And thank you to the committee that was part of this, to the presenters, to the session hosts for all the insights and everything, and Kevin and Blaine, as always, really provided us a lot of great ideas for putting this all together. And a special big thanks to the 33 people who did participate in the poll. And overall, here's what we found. The benefits of 5G are recognized from the business perspective. And we're not just talking about being recognized, but we're talking about not just being taken for granted, but actually being understood and recognized. But 5G still has opportunities for increased impact, and we've already kind of touched on some of those themes already this morning. The use of AI in the workplace is continuing to grow, and so is the comfort level with the technology. Monitoring the growth and expansion of AI will be important, and then ensuring that new and improved technologies are available to all Californians is a priority when it comes to, in particular, when we look at 5G and we look at the Middle Mile Network initiative. The first question that we asked was about 5G, and very simple question. We just asked you, we gave you a series of statements, and we said, check the ones that you agree with. And what we saw here is that 5G, the benefits of 5G are recognized and they're realized in terms of better, faster, and more effective, being more effective, but that there is still room to expand. So here we're able to gain a little bit of insight on what business leaders actively, directly recognize as the benefits of 5G. The largest level of recognition, obviously, is on the more practical side, which is the increased speed, connectivity, and reliability. We had 73% identify that. Interesting, though, we also see the adaptive benefit as far as allowing businesses to be able to connect remotely, to allow workforces to work remotely, which really wasn't necessarily part of the priorities when 5G was launched. This really came into play later, so it's interesting to see how people adapted this technology to that area. We also see where there's possible concern about universal access. I think part of what we've already touched on a little bit this morning. Half of those responding did express support for continued expansion in areas that might not yet have been provided access. And then as far as ongoing opportunities, interesting to see that only 14% recognize 5G's role in AR. And you know what, I'm on the wrong slide, so I do apologize. How do we get this? All right. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Test.
Yeah, he's got. Hold on a minute, close. All right. Thanks. Yeah, I don't know how to move this thing back. Let's see if. Oh, there we go. All right. Here we go. So I apologize. I was talking to a different slide. I thought I still had it on this one. So, and then we also see that there is an opportunity still in terms of communication with 5G, in terms of the role with AR and training and marketing and advanced analytics. Then we moved on to some of our AI questions, and this is kind of ties into last year we did a similar poll. It was just on AI, just on artificial intelligence. So we have a few references to that we can make going through this year's poll. But in this one, we just asked a very simple question about your reliance in AI, how it's changed over the past year. And it's a little surprising that we see that 61% say that their reliance has increased either a little or a lot over the past year. And the baseline for this, last year we asked the question, are you using AI in the workplace? And we found that 62% of those responding were either using it a little or a lot. So we're expanding off of that 62% that were already using it. We're seeing now that 61% are using it more. It's interesting to see that only 9% say they don't rely on AI in the workplace. Last year, that was at 34%. said they did not rely on AI in the workplace. And then 4% had a decrease. Maybe it just didn't live up to expectations for a few of the people that responded to our poll. In terms of where more the attitudinal part of AI, thinking about the growth of AI as a business technology, what are your thoughts on that? And the opinions are still divided as to the impact of AI as a business technology. It's interesting, focus on the word still. They're still divided, but they are evolving a little bit. Most people said I'm equally encouraged and concerned about the growth of AI. But here's the interesting spin on this is that last year, while 61%, well, that was still the top choice, last year we saw that almost half, 48%, this year are encouraged by the opportunities. Last year it was only 16%. So we're seeing 3 times as many this time saying, yeah, we're actually encouraged about the use of AI. And then those that are concerned, about the same this year, right around 20% last year, about 20% this year. Our final AI question. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. This is really a, yeah, okay, sorry about that. Our final AI question was about, really kind of about guardrails on AI. The question about as the use of artificial intelligence expands, what would you favor? What types of actions would you favor? And we see definitely, proceed, but proceed with caution. So we see a strong sense of agreement about considering public policy, expanding research, and getting better educated about it. All supportive of moving forward, but not blindly with AI. Very similar to last year, we asked the same question. There was a small modification in the choices, so it's not an exact one-on-one comparison. But the top choice last year was also considering appropriate public policy. So it was very similar last year, but what was interesting was that last year on the free market, allowing the free market to decide, we had 40% this year selecting that. Last year we only had 18% selecting that, kind of giving us an indication that perhaps we're getting a little bit more comfortable with it and moving on with it, and not as worried about where it might be taking us. The final actual policy question we asked was our Middle Mile Network Initiative question. Very simple, general question. Let us know your thoughts on the viability of the Middle Mile Network Initiative, and check any of the statements with which you agree. And again, we see proceed with caution. Kind of as we saw with the 5G question, the issue of full access for everybody is very critical. Again, part of what we've already been discussing a little bit this morning. Bridging the digital divide and ensuring that all Californians have access to essential online resources should always be a top priority. Was the top choice. But it's also interesting when we look at this and we compare the top choice to the second choice. The top choice is more about expanding and making sure that everybody, about equity and everybody gets access to this. The second choice was the business proposition. How is it going to help? How is it going to help foster economic development? How is it going to help creating jobs? So kind of an interesting perspective that we get from our respondents. And then we also see that about a third of the respondents really strike that cautionary note regarding being mindful of sustainability and potential costs of the ongoing maintenance. We always ask an open-ended question. This is always my favorite to look at this, just to kind of see what the thoughts are. This year, this time our open-ended question was kind of we thought we'd have some fun with it. Based on your experience and knowledge, what is the one technology that would most benefit your business if you could have it today? And I think when we came up with this, we were envisioning more, flying cars and things like that, a little bit more out there. But instead, we got pretty straightforward stuff, kind of practical stuff, more back end, which is interesting when you look at what the choices are. None of this from the AI side is talking about client-facing. We're not talking about, in this case, robots to do our work for us. We're talking about our back end and helping our business to function better from the back end side. So that was our final question in the poll. Thank you so much to the sponsors and to everybody that participated in helping us put this together. Always appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to be here and be part of this.
Give Bill a hand. Thank you very much, Bill.
Thanks, Luke. Luke gets to wear all the cool clothes too. Do you notice the innovation guys? They like always got the black t-shirt and jeans, and I had to put the like boring suit on today. So I'm going to switch gears. But in addition to Luke welcoming us, you heard Jesus Ramon and Rex Knowles, Randall Hernandez. I think Erica Jaquez is here too. Erica? There she is, right there. So thanks. The whole Verizon team is in the house, and we're glad to have you here. As Kevin mentioned, I'm Tasia Hernandez, so I'm the founding CEO at BizFed, BizFed Institute, our BizFed Central Valley. Now we have a new California coalition. So the whole point is getting business people, people who employ people, more civically active, giving you the tools to unite, organize, have power in numbers, learn, activate, engage, and then make California a better place to live, work, and raise our families. So happy to be here, and I get the big privilege today. Kevin always gives me the cool jobs, which I'm thankful for, on these things. And so I get to introduce our special featured speaker to kick us off this morning, and that is Councilwoman Tracy Park. She's a councilwoman in LA City for Council District 11. Do you know where Council District 11 is? Right here. Okay. Wasn't that work out good that we got the woman in charge of this region, one of the most dynamic parts of LA City, to come and share time with us? And actually, I'm super grateful because some things are hitting the fan in the city and started last night, up all night and up early. And she did not cancel. She showed up, and she's here because there's some big things on the line. And not everyone does that in elected and appointed office, but that shows she has backbone, she has character, and she shows up. So let me just introduce her though to you. So the values of family and hard work were instilled in Councilwoman Tracy Park at a really young age, actually. Her mother was a school secretary and president of the California School Employees Association. Her late father was a U.S. Army veteran, longtime member of the Communication Workers of America. I also had CWA when I ran the Daily News and newspapers. The CWA is the union there too. So isn't that, we got that in handy there. All right, we share the same name too. She spells her name in a special way with an I, I'm with a Y, but that's all right. We're still working that out over time. But she was the first person in her family to attend college, earning degrees, plural, at Johns Hopkins University and Loyola Law School. She had a successful 20-year career as a municipal attorney before being elected to city council. So she really never came from a political background, which personally I think is kind of awesome and makes you uniquely qualified to be a city councilwoman. And that's why when she ran, again, a huge field when she ran, you know, now she's in office, now she chairs all these important committees. We don't even think about it. At the time, it was high risk, high stakes. She came out of nowhere to run in a race that had a zillion people running. And I'm happy to say our BizFed PAC supported you out of that very complex field, where in the early days, you were like, you know, I mean, you really, everyone wanted you to win. You had the energy and the on-the-ground chutzpah for why to make your district better and what it needed, but it was not a foregone conclusion. Actually, other people had a lot more money and a lot more name ID and more likely to win. But we stood together, you did it, you held up and you got elected. So now as a councilwoman, you know, the thing that's important to her, she, when it's important to her, she never takes no for an answer. And I mean, she is a feisty one, but she's so detailed. I think the law background, like she gets into the details. She really wants to understand what it's made of, and she'll make effective arguments, challenge, and be a champion. Also, when you go in to talk to her, you have to have your act together. Because she'll call you on it if you're, you know, just kind of scuffling through. So anyway, I want to give you a couple of examples, not just that she's a champion for business, the economy, innovation, people, and those in the neighborhood. But I want to give you some specifics. Just recently, like last December, for example, she stood up and she championed making outdoor dining provisions a permanent fixture in the city of LA coming out of COVID. She did that. It wasn't like a popular thing, but she stood up. And so now we have an alfresco dining ordinance. So restaurants can continue serving patrons outdoors on their private property the way they did in the pandemic. So it's a real win-win for restaurant owners and for us residents and those of us that want to eat in our fresh air in Los Angeles. Also, right after that, was just the same month, Councilmember Park and Councilmember John Lee stood with the business community, and they voted no on rent stabilization ordinance that limits the rent increases on property owners, high impact on small mom and pop landlords, and many of you may have a couple facilities yourself, also took a lot of guts. They got 11 to vote on that, but then they championed a motion after that vote to instruct the housing department to then, be holistic and work with United to House, the Citizens Oversight Committee, and develop programs, again, on helping the mom and pops in particular. Vital to our long-term economic competitiveness, Tracy supported the LA Convention Center expansion just a few months ago. Also, you'd think these things were common sense, but they're quite controversial. So thank you for standing up on that. We need that as iconic part of our city. We have all these Olympics and all the tourists coming from around the world. We need to invest in that. I know you're going to figure it out in the budget debacle we got going on right now. And then the one I mentioned that's just, hours old, it's actually a year and a half in the working, but it took a crazy turn last night, is there's a $30 minimum wage ordinance, $30 minimum wage ordinance in the city. And so it's messy right now. I'm not going to dig into the details, but I'll thank Tracy for taking a ton of meetings with all the stakeholders in this last year and a half, calling for accountability and common sense in how, cause and effect truly matters. She's going to, the hours ahead of us today, tomorrow and Friday, will tell the story, but thank you for what you're doing. And I know you're losing sleep over it and you're there for us. We appreciate you. She stands up with the local business community, its vital workforce, ensuring that West Side of Los Angeles, that's where you're at, retains its appeal as the #1 tourist destination in the city, increasing affordable housing for all of our employees, and us too. And so now here we're an innovation lab, we're on creativity, we're on foot forward, and that is her hallmark too, on creating innovative, data-driven practices linked to measurable and successful outcomes. Without further ado, let's hear from Tracy herself. I hope you know her a little bit better. Come on up.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me, or do you need me to use the mic?
We can hear you.
Let's try it without it real quick and just see how it goes. Oh, they are? Okay, I'll use the mic. Typically, no one has ever said, ever in the history of Everdom, that they can't hear me. So it's a real pleasure to be here with you this morning. I'm Councilwoman Tracy Park. Welcome to Council District 11. It is the honor of my lifetime to represent the west side of Los Angeles on the LA City Council. I am biased, of course, but I think that this is absolutely one of the most vital, important parts of the city of Los Angeles. From LAX, which is the entry point for tens of millions of visitors to our region every year, as well as an economic powerhouse and economic driver, a regional employer of about 75,000 individuals. Our gorgeous, iconic Santa Monica Bay and our coastline, our beautiful Santa Monica Mountains. Here on the west side, we have some of our city's top cultural destinations as well. The Skirball Center, the Getty Museum. It's just a really incredible, important part of our city. So it's a real pleasure to get to represent the west side, and it's a real pleasure to get to work with BizFed. Tracy, thank you so much for the very warm introduction and your partnership. I know we have a lot of really tough issues that we have worked through, that we are going to continue to work through, and things ahead. But I know that when we work together and we come together, we really, truly can deliver a better Los Angeles for everyone. And Kevin, I wish I could stay all day and just listen to you. You've been such a great friend and mentor, and you're a wonderful teacher. So I hope everybody enjoys being here. And Verizon, the Innovation Lab, thank you so much for hosting today. I can't wait to come back and actually spend some time here. In a perfect world, if we weren't as a city reacting to crises and responding to emergencies and actually doing proactive, positive things, I would love to be investing in green investment districts, creating zones where we can incubate clean tech and sustainability and innovation. We should really be housing the graduates coming out of Lacey right here in Playa Vista. We have the infrastructure set up to do that. You guys are embedded here, and it's just a pleasure to have you in the district, and I'll look forward to our partnership as well. So I wear a few different hats at City Hall. My legislative bucket is pretty expansive. You probably know this, but for those of you who don't, I chair our city's Trade, Travel, and Tourism Committee. So my committee has oversight everything related to the Port of Los Angeles, all of our shipping, commerce, international trade. I also oversee LAX and its operations, as well as Van Nuys Airport. So a huge amount of opportunity there. As you all know, we have some of the nation's largest capital improvement and infrastructure projects going on in and around LAX. Down at the port, we are seeing an expansion of operations and a shift to clean and green technology there, where the port is really, truly leading the way. Really exciting times. We're all keeping a very close eye on the People Mover and its readiness for some very major events that are coming to Los Angeles, which leads me to my next committee. I also chair the city's committee for the 2028 Olympic and Paralympic Games. I had the opportunity to travel to Paris in March with Mayor Bass and a delegation of my colleagues to meet with Paris 24 and government officials and to see in real time what their preparation on the ground looked like. They were incredibly gracious hosts. They scheduled meetings where we were able to sit down and talk about things like, what do you wish you had started on sooner? What is a mistake that you made early on that you wish you hadn't? What are the lessons learned right now that we can start bringing back to Los Angeles? From Paris, I continued on to Tokyo with Council President Emeritus Krikorian and Council Member Yaroslavsky, where we met with officials about shipping and sustainability, but went on to Tokyo to see all of the great things that were done there to prepare for the 2020 Olympics. You'll remember that Tokyo didn't host in 2020. They had to kick it to 2021. And after all of the investment and the money spent in the city to host the world's biggest event with no spectators. What an incredible pivot for anyone to have made. And they did an incredible job with it, but it was wonderful to tour, for example, the urban skate park that remains active in the community today. It was great to see the transportation upgrades and entire communities that were built, sustained by hydrogen, and demonstrating some of the transitions that we need to start thinking about right here in Los Angeles. I also had the opportunity to go back to Paris for the closing days of the games themselves. And Paris is a magical city anyway, but when you sprinkle the Olympics on top, there's just not words to describe how spectacular it all was. The entire city was active and engaged. Their open spaces had been designated as fan zones and live sites. It was literally impossible to get lost in Paris during the Olympics. 45,000 volunteers were staffing events all over the city, and they were so thoughtful about their training. They didn't have the volunteers just go and assess the metro stops at the venue destinations, but all of the metro stops that people were likely to transit through on their way to the venues. And they looked for all the spots that someone might make a wrong turn, and that's where they put their volunteers. If you were looking at a map in the subway, someone would come up to you and offer help. But what made it even easier was the technology and the apps, the ability to navigate Metro and use just a 1 or 2 click app that would route you anywhere you wanted to go and account for closures in places where there had been different service routes and connections to accommodate the Olympics. They also hosted a brand new innovative program called the Host Cities Experience. So A delegation from LA City was there, as well as the county and Metro and other local cities in LA County that are also going to be hosting Olympics in LA 28. And we had the opportunity to sit down and actually learn from the Parisians how to do an opening ceremony, how to manage our venue approaches. We learned all about the media and broadcasting, and that was one of the things, and certainly as it relates to tech, that I was completely blown away with. The Sports Broadcasting Center, which is where all of the main event sporting athletic coverage came from, was pretty remarkable in itself. But what struck me the most was the separate Paris Media Center that they set up for all of the non-credentialed journalists and reporters, all of the people who were writing about arts and culture and lifestyle and food, and all of the collateral things that there were to do in Paris during the Olympics that weren't the Olympics. All of that incredible imagery that was curated, the iconic volleyball under the Eiffel Tower, watching that unfold both on television and the internet was really remarkable. And it sets a bar for what we need to do here in Los Angeles. And truthfully, I came back from that trip both with a renewed sense of purpose, but a healthy dose of panic about where we are and what we need to do to get our city ready. We obviously face a lot of big challenges. It's no city that we have a fiscal crisis, and no secret that we have a fiscal crisis in our city right now. And that's not unique to the city of Los Angeles, but to many of the cities in the county, to the county itself, to Metro, to our state. We still have major issues with respect to homelessness that we need to address. We have infrastructure that is in desperate need of repair. Our sidewalks are a mess. How do we get AI technology that can help us assess where those problems are and prioritize how we're going to solve them? We hosted the delegation from Paris last week, and I was out at the Expo Center. And I was thinking, as chair of the committee, as we settle our venues for the Olympics, probably our big destination centers that are actively used, surely the infrastructure around those are in good working order. Probably the sidewalks in those places are okay. So I walked the entire Coliseum, better than other parts of the city, but there's sloppy asphalt patches on concrete and shifting sidewalks. And then I drove all of Exposition Park. The curbs were a crumbled mess. The red curbs hadn't been painted in I don't know how long. And I thought, oh boy, if we have this much work to do around the places that are already in good working order, what are we going to do about all the places that we have yet to decide on to activate here in Los Angeles? Where are our fan zones going to be? Our live sites? As we're thinking about our arts and our cultural Olympics, how do we invest in communities around the entire city of Los Angeles? How do we showcase the assets that we have? Here in CD11, we can predict where people are going to go. They're going to come to Venice Beach. They're going to ride our bike path. They're going to eat in our restaurants. They're going to support our local businesses. What are the other tourist destinations, right? We know people are going to go to Universal Studios. We know people want to see things like Griffith Park. We have to make those investments. But we need the technology to do it. We need a mapping system so that we can see our venues and how we're going to connect them. What is our transit plan and how are we going to manage it? I established our Green Energy Council for the Olympics as well. So we have our major utilities meeting to talk about how we are going to make this a sustainable Olympics. I don't know where we're going to get these 1,000 electric buses that are supposed to be coming to make this a car-free Olympics. And even if we have them, I'm not sure where we're going to park them or how we're going to charge them or even who's going to drive them. But there's opportunities to invest and to innovate and to build out infrastructure and to use this as an opportunity to create legacy, infrastructure legacy, but economic legacy as well. So the procurement opportunities for our local businesses are going to be really important. We're ramping up our procurement system. We're working with LA 28 to identify our needs and creating technical programs so that small and diverse businesses have an opportunity to compete and to succeed. So we have a lot of challenges and a very short runway between now and 2028, and a few opportunities to shine along the way. We have FIFA coming in 2026, Super Bowls, other major events. Oh, and a Dodgers World Series apparently coming to LA. Go Dodgers! I'm really excited about the future. We have just a remarkable opportunity and incredible leadership in Mayor Karen Bass. I know that she and her team are hard at work identifying the things that need to be done. I think the executive directive that came out last week insisting that we identify the projects that need to be done and prioritize the infrastructure improvements that need to be done, the investment in things like connectivity and communications. I will tell you just anecdotally, I was at League of California Cities last week at the Long Beach Convention Center. You've got to do something about the Wi-Fi in that place. I haven't been over to the LA Convention Center yet to test it out, but if it's anything like it was down there, it couldn't get onto a Zoom. They had all these people sitting around trying to use computers and do work, and just nobody could get anything done. We need to do better. We can do better, and we need to create lasting opportunities to invest so that everybody in Los Angeles can participate and thrive. So I am pleased to be a partner to you and to the business community. We are in the process now as a city of road mapping our path to the Olympics, looking at our departments, staffing levels, staffing needs, and identifying projects and timelines for delivery. There's going to be many, many opportunities, and frankly, not just opportunities. The city of Los Angeles is not going to be able to deliver the Olympics without the partnerships from our business community. So stay engaged. We should be meeting in November to settle venues, and once that's done, I think things are going to start moving very quickly and coming together very quickly. And then just on a side note, just to wrap out what it is I do at City Hall, and then I'm more than happy to stop talking. I also sit on our Public Safety Committee. Obviously, we have some challenges there. I am really excited to welcome a new police chief, and some new direction and leadership here in the city of Los Angeles. I am also vice chair of transportation. We have tremendous opportunities there to invest not just in mobility, but in sustainability and in our own neighborhoods and economy. And I'm on budget committee. I forgot about that. Was the other big one. I just came off of government reform, where we have delivered you now ballot measures on independent redistricting and ethics reform. But I have now moved over to budget committee. So this will be, I think, my third or my fourth meeting as a member of that. I am keeping hawk eyes on every little thing impacting our budget. And I'm going to be working really, really hard to make sure that our spending aligns with our priorities and our ability to deliver an epic games in 2028. So I feel like I've droned on long enough. I haven't timed myself. If you want me to say more, I will. Happy to take a couple questions if you want to do that.
That's what we want to do. Thank you so much, and you gave us a lot to consider. So we're going to do the flash poll next, but we have time for 2, maybe 3 questions. So while you have the amazing councilwoman here, raise your hand, and we'll jump into a couple of questions. Jesus.
Sounds like my alarm. Hang on.
Hold on.
Sorry. Yeah, mine does the same sound.
So with all of the challenges that you just mentioned for LA 28, right, for the Olympics, are we going to pull it off?
We're going to pull it off. We're going to pull it off. We could do it today if we had to. We're going to pull it off. We could do it today if we had to. We are going to get this done. It is going to be epic. And I will tell you that this transition that we've been doing from Paris to LA has been incredibly helpful. As I said, we had the entire Paris delegation sitting here doing a debrief, the download. I really wanted to know how did the cleanup go? What was the aftermath like? And we also had Brisbane here because they will inherit the Olympics in 2032 as well. And so I am confident that we are going to do this, but we have to roll up our sleeves and be ready now. And there are little things too, like when it comes to the planning that I picked up in Paris, sometimes the math checks out on paper, But in real life, when you go out and you try to pass two emergency vehicles by each other on a narrow cobblestone Parisian lane after you've put up the metal barricades to keep pedestrians out, turns out your two emergency vehicles don't fit on that road, and now that can't be your primary ingress and egress. So we have to have time to test these systems out to get our apps up and running. We need the tech developed to support the operations, and we need to start now. So we got a lot of work to do, but we're going to do it.
Madam Councilwoman,
Hi.
thank you very much for your overview. My name is Walter Tucker IV. I'm a program manager with Delete the Divide, Los Angeles County. I do have a question about digital equity because that is the work that I do, specifically since you mentioned the connectivity issues at the Long Beach Convention Center. Now, within your district, my question is, are there any digital equity efforts to push faster Wi-Fi, more affordable Wi-Fi? And what does that look like? And have you partnered with specific small businesses for this effort and other government agencies?
So it's a really good question, and I wish I had a bit more of a detailed answer for you. But the answer is yes. So we've worked really closely with HACLA to provide free and no cost quality digital connections here on the west side through all of our city-owned housing sites. So yes, we've been doing that. I couldn't give you the details on who those contracts are with and through, but happy to get back with you. This is something that we as an entire community need to focus on citywide. And as we are transitioning technologies and moving away from sort of the older versions of things, there's a lot of equity concerns about it. Older customers in communities where their infrastructure isn't built out the same way. And so that is something that the city works very, very closely on. Let's do that. George.
Hello. Hello, everybody. I'm George Francisco. I am the current policy director of the Venice Chamber of Commerce. I was the longtime president of the Venice Chamber of Commerce. I'm Tracy's neighbor. I'm very proud to, not this Tracy, that Tracy. So I'm very proud to have the councilwoman here. For those of you who don't know her well, you'll find that she is an exceptional public representative, but also an awesome person too. So Tracy, most of the people at BizFed, for those of you guys who don't know me, I have a certain brand. It's Anti-Coastal Commission, just so you know. But more relevant than that, speaking to what the gentleman just spoke to, most of my constituents in Venice that you're very well aware of are small businesses. We do have large businesses like Microsoft renting space there, but a big employer employs 65 people in Venice. So really all the issues of small businesses are my issues. And I would be remiss to not put this in front of you. The mayor graciously created an ED4 directive, which was about cutting red tape for small businesses. And what you may not be aware of, but at BizFed, we have found no partnership coming out of the mayor's office of economic development to actually act upon that ED4 directive. And I think that impacts not just my small employees. I'm sitting next to a close friend that's a small employer in Venice. He's a huge employer. He employs about 80 people. But I think across the city, it's important to activate and make good on what the mayor, in all her fair faith and her what she wants to see, to get rid of red tape. Because that is the best thing we can do for digital equity. It's the best thing we can do for small hospitality providers. And it's the best thing that we can do for all the many small contractors that the giants like Verizon make partnerships with and supply, especially coming up to the Olympics. So it's really more of a demand coming from me to you is to please focus on that, because I think you will find the benefits are a great force multiplier to cut red tape for our small businesses.
100% agree with you, George. Thank you for that. Our small businesses, especially here on the west side, are the backbone of our local economy. They are also the people who not only invest in jobs, but in our neighborhoods, and are the anchor institutions that hold us all together. So I hear you loud and clear on it. Thank you for the feedback, and happy to connect just to get some more details about where the failures are, where the holdups are, where you're seeing the issues. Because we can certainly get that conveyed. And, there have been some other executive directives that aren't working as well as we would like. And so the feedback is important because it helps us tweak them and make adjustments as a new administration gets settled into office, and we're all working together to try to genuinely get this right. And I do genuinely believe the mayor cares about this issue, and I think that we have an opportunity to get with her and her team to resolve that.
All right, we'll take the last question.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Lupita Sanchez Cornejo with AT&T. A couple things. One, I appreciate your insights. I feel like every time I speak with you, I learn something new, and commend you for your leadership, also for your sense of purpose, because as we lead up to LA 2028, we have major events, and you have a lot of industry partners here who are ready to work on CapEx to build out that infrastructure. And so we need partners in the city to ensure that that permitting gets done, that we're able to build out. 45,000 volunteers in Paris. I don't know how many we need in LA. You probably have a sense of that. But think about the kind of connectivity that we will need at all these different fan fests. And I'm hearing that as we get ready to host FIFA in 26, there's an idea of also doing something similar. But with that comes, security and costs. And that also takes time as the providers are building out. You can't just build out from one month to the next. And so understanding where those venues are is very important. And so thank you for joining us at BizFed Institute and for being here with us.
You're welcome. Well, you're right. We have an even shorter runway to FIFA than we do to the Olympics. And it is an opportunity for us to do some test runs on some live sites and activations just to get our feet wet with it. And the tech support needs there are going to be significant. You mentioned the volunteers and the volunteer center, another type of venue and service that we're going to have to support. 45,000 in Paris felt well staffed to me. But look at the compact, much smaller geographic footprint of a city like Paris compared to the entire county of Los Angeles. Because remember, there are games happening all the way down in Long Beach area, out in the Sepulveda Basin and in the Valley, and even outside of the LA area as well. And so I think the number is much, much higher. But it raises really practical questions about, one, what is the tech that we need? What is the joint platform possibly with LA 28? Because that's how Paris 24 did it with the city of Paris, was a joint platform. But we need a place for people to apply and collect that data and to help us deploy them and figure out a deployment plan. But just the logistics of what I think is probably 70 or 75,000 volunteers, possibly. Where are we going to find them, vet them, train them, deploy them, uniform them? Where are we going to get 75,000 t-shirts, and where are we going to keep them? Where are we going to have folks set up in the morning? What are we feeding them for breakfast? What are their connectivity needs while they're there and out in the field? How are they checking in and out with command? There are a lot of details to be hammered out. And so we are going to be leaning in on every community-based organization, business group, partnership, alumni network, you name it. It is going to be an all-hands-on-deck effort. And we'll also have international volunteers, people from all over the world that are going to want to volunteer while they're here. But think about this. We need people who speak certain languages, and we have to identify where are the certain diasporas for certain communities. Where are we going to bake in? Team Germany, Team Australia. This all is great opportunity and great chances for folks all over the city. But man, do we have a lot of planning to do. I could sure use some help.
We're here.
You are. You are. So Matt's tapping the time. I've got to go. I have got to get down to City Hall and see what I can do to help us on this other issue. So Kevin, as always, thank you.
Appreciate it. Brian Mika, Don Johnson, and Leo Zelenovsky. Okay, you can turn around that mic for us, Leo. I don't mind holding it up right up to my mouth. So, folks, just to set the table, we have a very unique group of gentlemen and subject matter experts here who are going to talk to you about broadband infrastructure. In fact, let me turn this around and face you a little bit more. Broadband infrastructure in terms of the California middle mile and last mile. When I say California middle mile, imagine the Interstate 5 freeway that runs the length of California and the 99. So the California middle mile is a big fiber optic pipe, data pipe, and it connects the state from top to bottom and end to end. And it's important to understand behind what happens behind your computer screen. And that's one way to look at this. The other way to look at it is California middle mile is kind of like your central nervous system, your spinal cord, right? And there are branches that go out and control and communicate with other parts of your body. The other parts of your body in this case are cities. And so, you know, Eric is going to talk about that. We have Brian Meekum here and they're going to introduce themselves in a minute. He's going to talk about the internet service provider's role in our broadband network. And he has some really neat stuff to talk about. Then we're going to have Don Johnson, who is with NVIDIA. Now, you guys have probably heard about NVIDIA in the news and all the money to be made in their stock trading, but they are the AI company, the chip manufacturer. Pay attention, you investors. And then we have Leo Zelenovsky from Amazon. And Amazon is one of the companies that use all this stuff to bring to your doorstep the stuff you love to buy. Okay? So first of all, Leo, if you could pass go ahead and pass it to Eric. Eric, why don't you go ahead and start and introduce yourself, and then we're going to bring it back to Brian, then to Don, and then to Leo. Okay?
Eric Hunsinger, president of Golden State Net. We are the third-party advisor to the state of California. 3 years ago, the state of California received $3.7 billion to kick off their middle mile initiative. And so they selected CENIC, the Corporation for Education Networks in California, to help them shape and create policy around development of middle mile infrastructure, which includes fiber optic, as Kevin noted, across the state, totaling about 8,200 miles of underground infrastructure.
Thank you, Eric. You pass it to Brian, please. Thank you.
Hello. So I'm Brian Meekum. Nice to meet all of you. Thanks for coming out. We really do enjoy. So I work at Verizon, and this is a Verizon facility. This is the Verizon 5G LA lab, and up until January of last year, I used to run this place, so I'm back home. It's familiar territory for me. So today I'm now working on a pretty big portfolio for our business side. And it's great to have you here in the audience because we're going to talk about small and medium businesses and how I've thought about how we're going to talk this morning, even with my friends from AT&T in the room. They're our competitor. How it all works when it works well together. Right, very good friends, yes. But it only works well when it all works together. And the big thing you're going to hear with this group, we've met in advance, is that we all need each other. We all need each other to make it successful. We're fierce competitors in some areas, and in other areas we have to be really good friends. So I'm looking forward to today's panel.
Thank you, Brian. If you could pass it to Don. Thank you.
Passing the microphone, aren't we? Hey. So again, my name is Don Johnson. I work with NVIDIA. NVIDIA is a company that kind of provides a backbone for AI, if you will, and I'll talk more about that. Me in particular, I work as a developer relations manager there, so I work with partners, with businesses, on how to take advantage of our platform to actually build your AI product set. Previous to that, actually, am a former telecom person as well. AT&T, let's go, all day. And so just really excited to talk about AI, talk about broadband, and just talk about how these all work together.
So folks, before we get to Leo, you know that we plan to have some sparks fly. We believe in balance, but this is going to be fun. And thanks for flying out from Atlanta to join us, Don.
Go Braves.
All right.
We'll be back next year. We'll be healthy. We'll be back.
All right, Leo, you're up.
Hey everyone, I'm Leo Zhadnovsky. I'm the enterprise technologist for state and local government, education, and elections at Amazon Web Services, which is the cloud part of Amazon. And so I've spent a lot of the last year plus talking to a lot of our customers, especially in terms of state, local government, and education, about how and if they should use AI, what value it gives to them, specifically generative AI, right? And so I'll tell you a bit more about that today. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. So if you could give the mic to Eric. Eric, we're going to have you lead. Tell us about Golden State Net specifically in terms of the middle mile, why it's important, and the role your company plays in administering the middle mile.
Well, as you can imagine, the state of California is really good at administering money, but they may not know what they get for their spend, right? So they elected to have CNIC develop my organization, Golden State Net, to coalesce the kind of commercial perspective. Everybody that works at Golden State Net, there's about 30 of us, have about 2 decades of commercial experience. I'm an ex-level 3 employee. So some folks know what that is. So, you know, I've got 30 years of commercial telecom experience, and I bring a unique perspective to the state because I understand how networks really work and how the state might be able to better use that infrastructure. A good example is flexibility of interconnection. So the state of California is developing a network that any entity can use as an open access network. In fact, we're working directly with Verizon now on prioritizing which routes Verizon Wireless might want to use in their network. Not everybody likes the idea of using a third-party network, but it's an open access network and it's available to any commercial entity that wants to use it, but it's also available for communities to develop their last mile infrastructure priorities. So we're actively talking with the County of LA. We are talking with the gateway cities. We're talking with folks all around the state. But I will say one of the most important elements of the dialogue in the last 3 years has been BizFed Institute's gathering of thought and need in this community, because the state of California has heard that voice. It's been really integral to the priorities that have been set for the infrastructure in LA County, which represents a really diverse collection of problems. There's really important urban corridors that lack access and choice. And then there's extreme rural areas that have never had infrastructure. And so the state of California is committed to providing the backbone that will help erase that digital equity issue. In addition to that, there's another $3.9 billion of last mile investment that the state is going to be driving. I'm not directly involved with any of those choices, but I am going to be helping communities connect to the middle mile so we can leverage that funds to optimize broadband.
Thank you, Eric. You know, Eric and I go back 4 years since 2020 when COVID first hit. And thank you for the shout out for BizFed Institute. We helped participate prior to the formal naming of a regional broadband consortia in helping in conjunction with CETF, CUPC, in trying to figure out where the mapping is and what it looks like in the broadband levels. Folks, I didn't tell you, I got about 30 years in IT and telecom, so it kind of gave me a head start. And you know, Eric and I worked hand in hand because that's where it all started. If you could pass it down to Brian, please.
I'm ready.
Okay, yeah, I know you're ready, Brian. Brian, tell me how Verizon has shown the business community that is committed to introducing new technologies to the marketplace, and tell me about your approach with 5G and the rollout over the last few years.
Yep, happy to. So connectivity, most of you probably rolled in here this morning and you had your smartphone with you and you took care of stuff. I see people in the back on email. Everybody's wireless. And wireless requires two main things. When you're a tier 1 operator like us and AT&T are, you need radio attachment and you need fiber in the ground. That's the bottom line. And so those are the big things. That's why Lupita was doing a nice job this morning for the industry in general when she said, hey, can you help us with our attachments? We're trying to get attachments, whether you're running fiber on a pole underground or you're connecting antennas. Not everybody loves antennas. Some of you probably fight us sometimes, like, oh no, don't want that cell site in my backyard, it's so ugly. And then you get out your smartphone and you complain about it, right? So we love antennas and we love fiber because that connection is important. One quick context for you, I recently for my job had to go up to the Arctic Ocean. And pretty wild, right? But I went up there and we were looking at fiber and how to interconnect that area from Japan over to New York. And one of the things that really stood out to me is the really, really slow speeds that the people have up there. So even kids that live up there, and that's their life, their connections, especially when everybody's home from whatever they were doing throughout the day, it's almost unusable. And so I think we take connectivity for granted sometimes. And connectivity is really, it's about creating equality for everybody. And so we're doing that with small and medium business. So we've just launched a new product called Trusted Connection, and we're giving to small businesses what enterprise businesses have, which is, they call it zero trust. That's a word that most people don't know what that means, but basically it's that you really know who is on the other end of that smart device or that laptop. It gives you the ability to make sure that they are who they say they are. So imagine if a small business had a connection capability through a router or through managing their devices, and they knew exactly every time who it was and they could trust it completely. That's trusted connection. So that's something we're bringing to small and medium businesses. We're trying to push out as hard and fast as we can, as much 5G, as much connectivity, as much fiber. I mean, you're hearing about it here from the panel, you're hearing about it unscripted with our competition there, asking a councilwoman, what are you doing to help us? Because this big thing coming down the road here, the Olympics and FIFA, they're a big deal. They're a really big deal. And it's really important that we all work together. As we do that he's gonna ask me some more questions in a minute when it comes to AI, as well as processing and horsepower and things, I need everybody here to help out. So like I said earlier, it works well when it all works together.
Thank you, Brian. If you could pass the mic to Don. Don, tell us about NVIDIA. When I mentioned NVIDIA first, there were a lot of blank faces and eyes that kind of glazed over, but you have no idea the impact of NVIDIA in today's telecommunications marketplace. Talk to us.
So just a little background. So artificial intelligence, AI, is essentially just a growth of accelerated computing. It's been talked about for 50, 75 plus years. Accelerated computing is high performance supercomputing, which requires high performance specific processing speeds. And NVIDIA, at its heart, built those processors. So we built the processors that's required for this high level, high performance, high bandwidth, high everything computing that's necessary for AI. And so we've taken advantage of the GPU, which is that processing unit, and turned it around to say, let's use this for parallel processing, which builds AI. So we are the backbone, if you will, the underlying platform for most AI technologies. Everything that you see, ChatGPT, those things are kind of built on top of our GPUs. And so for us, we've actually been doing this for quite a long time. Like, this is not really new. Like, things like recommender engines, those things have been going on for quite a long time. I think something like Gen AI, generative AI, and ChatGPT really changed the landscape for the consumer, because now we saw it at the consumer level, how you can use AI for your daily tasks before. So, our goal is to continue to kind of push that model, push accelerated computing, and allow more and more people to use it. My role specifically, I actually work with businesses. I work with partners on how to take advantage and harness these processors for good and for AI and for to build it. So I help businesses build their own products on top of what we have to kind of grow and develop that. So to your earlier question, what is NVIDIA? I mean, we are like the cornerstone of AI is what we look at ourselves.
You heard it, folks. The cornerstone.
That being said, you can't do anything without connectivity, right? Because everything's in the cloud, everything's wireless, and so we work with Verizon and AT&T and those, and helping them speed up their network, right? So using our processors to get it faster, and also to provide connectivity, obviously, to everybody as well.
Thank you, Don. So folks, I just want to key you in on something that's been said a couple times now, interconnectivity. You know, just like us in this room, all these technologies integrate and work together, and they work together seamlessly. And that's why it's so important to have these subject matter experts in this room sharing information with you, but also learning from each other, because this is what's going to break down barriers for knowledge and also give you the confidence, which takes away the fear, to integrate this technology and these products into your business. Leo, leading into that, tell us how Amazon has done just that.
Yeah, let me give you a few use cases of how we're using generative AI both on our customer-facing services and internally. So the first one that you probably have noticed if you've ever used like Amazon.com recently, there's the reviews of each product that you're looking at. So let's say I'm trying to figure out which coffee machine to get. I start reading the reviews. There's a lot of them, and so it's time consuming to do all that research. So now there's automated Gen AI generated summaries on our product pages. So you can get a summary that says, here's what the reviewers said about this product, here's what they liked, here's what they didn't like. And there's a lot of summarization is one of the big kind of low-hanging fruit use cases of generative AI. Then to go further in, we launched this bot or assistant called Rufus. Rufus was the name of a dog that we have a dog-friendly offices in most places. It was the name of a dog that would hit the button to launch products in the early days of Amazon. And we have buildings named after Rufus now too. But Rufus is also this assistant that we have that is on Amazon.com. And you can ask it things like, I'm trying to figure out if this coffee machine is better or that coffee machine is better. Can you compare them for me? And it'll just generate a comparison for you based on the reviews and other knowledge we have about those products. Or you can just tell you, you can ask it things like, I'm trying to get a coffee grinder. Do I need a burr grinder? What is that? Just open-ended questions like that, and it'll just give you answers that are automatically generated and make sense. Another thing that we're doing is if you use Amazon Music, and you're trying to create a playlist. So for example, this morning I was driving here to Playa Vista. If I could have opened up my Amazon Music app and pulled up this thing called Maestro, which is a playlist generator, and said, generate a playlist for me driving to Playa Vista. And it would just generate a playlist based on that input. Or you can say based on an emoji or something, right? Another thing that we're doing is for Amazon Pharmacy. So both on the pharmacist side, so when you try to get a prescription from Amazon Pharmacy, the pharmacists have to process that. They have to look at a lot of documents and data. So we're using generative AI to help make that more efficient and summarize it for them. And then on the consumer side, on the customer side, we're using generative AI to generate the insurance price estimates for your prescription. And then internally, as part of my day job, I help a lot of our customers. I get pulled in sometimes when they have big launches that, let's say it's election day or some critical event that can go wrong. So I'll get pulled in and I need to quickly get up to speed on what's going on with this customer, what issues are their top concerns, things like that. So again, we have a bunch of data sources for that, but it's a lot of data to read. So we now have functionality where I can basically get an automatic summary of what's going on with a specific customer to help me work more efficiently and increases my productivity. So that's just a few of the things that we're doing with generative AI as a company.
Awesome. Okay, the next question is going to go to Eric. But before we do, how many of you have seen The Wizard of Oz? Raise your hand. Okay, Leo's the guy behind the curtain. Okay? And I felt that's important to point out because that's what this is all about, for you folks to pay attention and understand how all this works, because you can play a role in this, right? As Councilmember Parks was talking about, gearing up for FIFA, Super Bowl, the Olympics. More importantly, what happens afterwards? See, once you do all that gearing up, guess what? For the next 20 years, your mindset is already in tune to what you got to do every time emerging technology hits the landscape. You're already ready to evolve with it. And that's what we really want you to get out of this. Eric, so you talked about the middle mile and you know, tell us a little bit about the last mile, because we need to know how we get from the freeway to our driveway, right? And then also, how do ISPs play a role in that with you? How can they support you?
Thanks, Kevin. So, as you noted, the middle mile is just the backbone, right? And so it's what you do with that that really gets to the last mile. If you think about your commute here to the Innovation Lab, you didn't start out on the 405, you started out in your driveway. And then you connected to a secondary road, and then maybe, if you could, you avoided the 405, right? So, you know, in much the same way that infrastructure has to be put in place to accomplish the same connectivity for telecom. And while you may have it today, maybe it's not strong enough. So additional connections will only create resiliency and reliability in the infrastructure. This may not be a problem in your neighborhood specifically, but there are pockets in the city of Los Angeles where it is a big issue. It's a chronic issue. Not just having access, but having reliable access and affordable access. And so by putting the infrastructure in place, then competition is created and choices. As Brian noted earlier, networks are really interconnected. And while the core infrastructure might be separate, 5 different fiber cables, different paths, different routes, ultimately they come together at telecom centers and they work together to bring the internet to each of us every day. And it is only through that partnership between those competing entities that makes it reliable and usable, so that Amazon can give you your review of bird grinders or whatever it is.
Thank you, Eric. Next question will be for Brian. So Brian, you know, tell us a little bit more about Verizon's aggressive 5G rollout, how it impacts businesses like yours' ability to access, and then after that, we're going to come back and hit you with cybersecurity. Let's hit those.
All right, sounds good. So I want to do a quick, I think I relate to the world through stories, anecdotes. I'm a visual person. So I want you to think about COVID, and I want you to think about when you went home, and then you stayed home for a while. So I'm going to ask some questions, I'm going to answer them, but I want you to think about the answers in your own head. What do you think is the busiest calling day of the year? So stop for a second and think, what's the busiest calling day? You might say, you cheaters. So it's Mother's Day. Somebody already told us, okay? It's Mother's Day. And then I ask, sometimes I tell people that and they're like, oh, it could be Father's Day. No, people care about who birthed them, okay? That's what matters the most. So the busiest calling day is Mother's Day. What do you think is the busiest picture day? It is not Christmas. First day of school, no. As it turns out, it's Halloween. So the busiest picture day is Halloween, because every mom's got to show off their kid, right? So those levels, when the network peaks up, we build for that. We have capacity for it. During COVID, we redlined, and we peaked to Mother's Day and Halloween levels of traffic, and then post-COVID, it didn't go back. So this question that got asked by Kevin is very important for you to know, that we have to continue to aggressively keep up with all y'all's usage and everything you're doing. And when the NVIDIA folks and the Amazon folks are building stuff cooler and cooler, it takes more horsepower for that. So here's what's also changing. On October 28th, one of the big OS vendors is launching their AI. They call it Apple Intelligence. And Samsung and Google, they have theirs called Gemini, and then you have Rufus. So you're gonna have all these assistants that are gonna work in your life and help you. But once we get to the handsets, once we reach that end mile, all of you users, it is intense how much bandwidth is needed to run on NVIDIA chips and to run with Amazon and the products, because who wants to go to the store these days? It's the easy button, Amazon, right? When your question, everybody here uses Amazon. So everybody has stuff packages probably sitting at home right now, and they probably got a Ring camera or another camera telling them, oh, here it is, and it was a package detection through AI. And the reality is, once all of your handsets have AI in them to help you with those really long emails you get from employees sometimes, I love the summaries on top, and I love they can help me write a friendly, or there's yet, so on Apple there's 3 versions. There's like friendly, professional, or kind. I wish there was a curt. Write a curt email back, because I'd like to be like, no, you wrote too much. I told you not to do this. So the demand, what I'm getting to here is the handsets are really, which is your stream of conscious. Let's be so for real in this room right now. All of you with your phones, your stream of conscious it happens through this little black rectangle in front of you. And that is coming with AI in many different users or use cases. It's coming natively to the operating system. And as your businesses start to explode, then you're going to need more network-based AI. And for that, we have to build aggressively. And so we keep buying spectrum. We keep buying more fiber. Ironically, Verizon sold a company called Frontier. Maybe some of you live in those properties and use that for your home internet. We just bought it back. It's like, wow. Well, okay. And I'm not supposed to talk about it publicly, but what I just said is public, so I'm safe there. But anyway, there's a lot of fiber assets that come with that, and that is where we're aggressively going after spectrum. We spent $54 billion in C-band. So there was a purchase for spectrum that gave us a whole bunch of more 5G ultra-wide. We got really aggressive, and we needed more spectrum. We have millimeter wave spectrum that we use that allows you to get faster speeds than you ever get in your house on your phone. You can get 2 gigabits of throughput. So it's fantastic as well. We're getting gotta hurry up. So I'm gonna start talking at 2x speed. Yeah, okay. But anyway, so the bottom line is you need tremendous amounts of connectivity. So for those of you in the civic space, please help us with our attachments for radio. Please help us with our attachments for fiber, right, Lupita? Okay, we're on the same page, me and you. Yeah, and just know that more is coming in the business space through routers, through connections. We're trying to bring enterprise-grade security. You have to have that. There's so many bad actors today in cybersecurity. So do you want me to answer that real quick?
Please do.
Yeah, so in the cybersecurity world, if you're not watching and seeing what's going on between state-based interest of people trying to harm us, or just 12-year-olds, there's a lot of young hackers nowadays that are out there trying to harm us. If you don't have trust that you have in your connection or what you're doing on the internet, proper firewalls, lots of people overlooking your shoulder, you're going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt somehow digitally, and that's another space where we're investing very heavily, and AI helps us because it picks up on stuff. It detects things. And I know we're short on time, so I'm going to leave it at that.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Brian. You know, cybersecurity is a big deal. Also getting hacked, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and then weird stuff happens. It's a big deal because they can get to your personal information, your financial information. But don't fear, right? Don't fear. Don't let this scare you. It's all about getting the information, proper preparation, protecting yourself, and then moving forward. Want to move to Don Johnson real quick. Don, tell us about the organizations you're dealing with and how AI plays a role in their business. And then with that said, you know, AI never takes the place of critical thinking, right? But allows critical thinkers to be more efficient. Tell us about that, since this is going to be our last question. And one more thing, does it need to be regulated? And be honest with us.
So how do we use it? So the biggest thing, I love that Leo mentioned Gen AI, because the biggest thing we're seeing now is the use of Gen AI for everything. So we've got partners that do what we call like defect detection for manufacturers, right? So as they produce something, they build something, use computer vision to scan it to see if they see a defect. Well, can you predict every single defect that's out there? No. So we get artists, or we create defects on these things. So we use a prompt or something like that to create a defect on the item, and so that way it can be picked up on the scan, right? So we're using things like AI to help with the process of production with most of our partners, right? Whether it's detecting defects, whether it's we have configurators that allow like a car manufacturer to show their customers different types, right? And they'll just use Gen AI to kind of put up different ones, like, oh, you want to put in bigger tires here, click it here, there. Things like this. These are all levels of AI that we use. And then we used AI to kind of predict how it could actually work. Like, well, how will it work in the wind? How will it work in the rain? How will it work with this speed versus this speed, right? You just use AI to kind of make these predictions. So it really improves the production flow. But all that being said, there's somebody still actually determining that answer, right? It's not done without somebody looking over it to make sure these solutions are accurate, they're usable, and I can make a product out of this, right? So there's still a critical thought process behind doing that. Essentially, we're creating a bunch of AI assistants. These are assistants to help you with some of the day-to-day tasks, to kind of make it a little streamlined, so you as a critical thinker can make the final decision without having to go through maybe some of the tedious steps below that. And to the second part of the question, certainly, I mean, NVIDIA is part of the White House Commission on AI. We strongly support any public policy that's thought out and well to support in guardrails, right? So we have a thing we call trustworthy AI, where we do things where we actually can provide the source for the AI, right? So if you were to use something like a ChatGPT and pull yourself an answer, we can put in this trustworthy AI to say, where do they actually source your answer from? And give you a list of all the sources behind that, right? So we're doing things to do that. So we certainly do appreciate and actually bring on that. There should be some level of public and private coming together. What policy comes out of that, that could be different, but there definitely should be some level of that coming together.
Thank you, Don. I think it's important. Blaine, I remember we got started late. Blaine's my timekeeper. We got started 10 minutes late, so I get a few cheat points, right? Okay, all right. It's important that we think about the public policy surrounding AI, and I want to make sure that you connect with Tracy Hernandez, founding CEO, and the BizFed team, because we might be able to provide local support for not only the White House, but your partners here, because I know you have partners out here. So let's stay in touch on that real close. Leo, so how do you see the AI-powered code transformation capabilities like those offered through Amazon Q impacting the software development industry in the long run? And how will this change day to day for a developer, and how does that impact business?
Yeah, so let me kind of back up really quick and explain what code transformation is. So as you use technology and time goes on, technology evolves, what systems you use evolve, and maybe the people who worked on the original systems retire, or they're deprecated, they're not used anymore. So you need to upgrade your systems, and you get it's called technical debt, right? And this affects government agencies, this affects companies of all sizes, and certainly we have thousands of systems across the company. And one thing we've noticed immediately that helps us is part of generative AI is we have a product called Code Transformation. So for an example, we have a team of 5 people that were able to upgrade 1,000 applications from like a really old version of Java to a new version of Java in a few days. This is like saving months of work, and if you extrapolate it across the whole company, it's years of work. And so I think that kind of efficiency of now I have, the employees I have, they can do more. And also just going back to not just code transformation, but writing code. So you have developers who need to write code. This generative technology lets them explain what a piece of code means really quickly. It helps them review code. So let's say you need to review, is this code secure? What does it actually change? Helps them review it. And it helps them generate code. So you can just write a prompt saying, I need to write code that creates a mobile application that does this and gives me that, and it'll generate the code for you. And it might not get you like 100% of the way there, but it'll get you 90% of the way there. So now developers can work more efficiently. And it also opens up technology and makes it more accessible. So you don't have to know how to code. You can quickly create an application, create a mock-up, create graphics without having a computer science background. So I think it's going to open these technologies up to a much larger group of people. And really going back to interconnectivity, this all depends on, you have to access the internet. You need Verizon, AT&T network providers for that. And this is all powered by GPUs, such as NVIDIA. So I think we're all in this together.
Thank you. So next we're going to do a lightning round, closing statement, 1 minute, and then we're going to take questions from the audience. I know you folks have some questions, right? So Eric, give us a closing statement for this esteemed group of business.
Well, ultimately, the state of California, Golden State Net, we're committed to addressing digital equity issues across the state. Nowhere is that more important than the greater LA area. So we're still working on last mile infrastructure and prioritizing how that gets done. And if you have ideas, bring them to Kevin, and I will be personally working closely with him to try to figure out how to solve those connectivity issues and increase productivity. A couple of important items about broadband. Lack of broadband in communities is a key indicator for poor education, poor access to health, poor household income, and lack of job mobility. So if you don't have broadband at home, you're not taking advantage of the full opportunities that this good country can offer to you and your family, and that has an impact across generations. So, if you have a mission to erase the digital divide, come and talk to me. We'd love to hear from you and figure out how to work together to solve that.
Thank you, Eric. He means that. He and I have been at this for 4 years now. I hope you hear what he said. I hope you evangelize it out there because it's critical. Brian, go ahead and give us well, you know what? You got the mic, Don. I'll let Brian have the last word. Don, give us a closing statement.
Not much to say. I just say embrace AI. Don't be scared of it. It's your friend. We're all going to come together, but we're not trying to. Well, AI is where we're moving. So just embrace it, get ready for it, and try to educate yourself as much as possible. And I just want to also piggyback on what Leo said. We're all interconnected together. We rely on Amazon and other people to actually build these AI things. We just kind of provide that backbone, and then we obviously need the broadband to get it to it, right? So yeah, that's all I got to say.
So every customer I talk to of ours, they're all really interested in AI, generative AI, how they can harness it. And I think, like Steve Jobs said, computers are a bicycle for the mind. It's also true for AI. It's true, just like we use calculators, we use their internet to help us do things, generative AI is just going to be interwoven into all these systems. And so what can you do? I would say, hey, just don't be afraid of it. Get your hands on a keyboard, play around with it, use it, see what it can do. And in our part, since 2020, we've trained 21 million people. A lot of these trainings are free in AI in general. And our goal is by 2025, we'll have trained 29 million people in AI. And so I think it's just important to learn and be open and embrace it.
Thank you, Leo. Key words, don't be afraid. Imagine how people in the 80s felt when the PC first hit the market. And those that did not adapt, those that did not evolve, IBM, right? You don't see, they have a supercomputer, department now, but you don't see IBM PCs a lot. You see ThinkPads here and there, and there are a lot of others. Wang, I can go on and on. So let's not be a dinosaur. Let's not hug the tree. Let's move forward.
I love that. So thanks for coming out for this, and appreciate your advocacy as everybody's asking for it. I'll ask for it as well. It all works together well when it works together. And that's the key thing, I think, as the mic died. I think my batteries died. So as I think about things that we discovered as a race of people, we figured out fire, and then we have microwaves today. And so you don't have to burn your house down to warm up your breakfast, right? So when you think about AI, you're using it. When you do Google searches, you're already using it, okay? So AI is here to stay. It's come into your handsets. It's going to enhance your life in notes that you take or emails that you write or summaries you get. It's going to be there anyway. So AI is a super positive. It needs some regulation because it's also really powerful, and it can be used for negative. Just like fire destroys things in California every year, from sometimes arsonists and sometimes natural. But I'm a huge believer in AI. I'm a huge believer that this is going to usher in greater capabilities. What Leo? What Leo was referencing specifically with regard to code, AI is the best when it works on code because code is very mathematically easy to fix. It's not as good with pictures. It screws up pictures today still. So we need to be responsible about that. I took you to the far end on both sides, but there needs to be ethics involved in it. But AI is going to make a big difference for making your business more successful and for just all of us when it comes to digital equity. Thanks.
Thank you, Brian. So what I'd like to just take two questions. We don't have a lot of time, so if I could get, okay, Mr. Salcedo, and then we're going to take Aline. Okay. Are you good?
Yeah, we're going to get the other mic down.
Okay.
Thank you. I needed to stretch. Sorry. So I have a question for Eric. I'm sorry, Brian.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm confused. So here it is. You talked a little bit about cybersecurity. What do you see as the future business opportunities 12, 24, 36 months as force multipliers for AI predictive opportunities in the marketplace?
Okay, so yeah, we're back working. Yep, this is the one you got to stick in your mouth. So that's cool. Yeah. So the next 36 months, what's a force multiplier? Is that your question? Around cybersecurity. Yeah, I think it was more back to what I was alluding to with all these state-sponsored hacking as well as young kids. I think as AI becomes more comfortable, as AI increases in usage, we're going to have more watchdogs watching the AI that we're all becoming reliant on. There's been studies done with kids in school, and they're now trying to train the kids to be able to detect AI. Because we get lazy sometimes. We believe news that's fake on Facebook, and we can get lazy with AI as well. And the struggle becomes not over trusting in AI. And I think that's where cybersecurity is going to come in and make a big difference to help protect us. So we're going to need both AI and AI that's watching AI. And it's very viable, it's very possible. I'm not confused by this opportunity or trying to confuse you, but that's where you're gonna have the ethics and the moral responsibilities to make sure that we invest just as heavily in watchdog capability as you do the original capability.
Thank you. Aline, I think you have the other hand, yes.
Thank you. So I have a question about the trustworthiness, because I think people see something that comes off of the computer and they automatically assume that it's correct. And I think you were mentioning Google. When you do a Google search, AI comes in and you get results, and a lot of times they're wrong. And you look at the source they're relying on, and they're relying on, for example, like Wikipedia. So I'm wondering, what are you going to do to deal with the trustworthiness?
Who's your question directed to?
Anyone who can answer it.
Who would like to say?
I just want to say, wait, Wikipedia's not accurate?
So I think when you build AI-enabled systems, you have to look at several components to ensure they're ethical, and one of those is explainability and transparency. So when I'm getting results from something and I'm asking something question, I should know that it's an AI-generated answer, and I should know how it generated the answer. What are the sources? What are the citations? So could I take what it says at face value? Yes, but I should have it exposed to me, like, where did it get this information? And I know that, oh, a human didn't write this, an AI wrote it. So I think that's, and certainly like at Amazon, we've got ethicists and people who are working on, as we build AI for our customers, ensuring that we follow these best practices and such.
So those of you that still have questions.
Can I add on to that just really quickly? AI is still new, right? And so things that Leo mentioned are ways to ensure that in the future you don't get as many bad results, right? So what we're doing now are these things like, let's source them now. You as a creator is like, that's not a good source. Maybe I should keep on doing. So it's still growing. It's just an example of how we're still new into this industry.
Thank you, Don. Those of you that still have questions, there's going to be an opportunity to network with these subject matter experts here. So that will be your incentive to stay around. And we also have a great lunch for you. So stay around. You get to ask questions. Eric, Brian, Don, Leo, thank you for your time and joining us today and traveling near and far, Sacramento Bay Area, Atlanta, and even Beverly Hills. We appreciate your thoughtful discourse, the information that you've imparted on this information-hungry crowd here. And my wish for you all is to put what you learned today into action. Okay, it's really important, because if we don't all buy in on this, you know, we're already looked at as a nation of consumers. We've got to take the turn to start making things again and getting out in front of this technology to make us stronger as a region and as a country. All right, so thank you all. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Okay, folks, before you leave, please, so next, I want to, folks, if I could have you take a seat and not leave, please. We'll have a chance to network with that crowd shortly. So next, I would like to introduce our moderator for our second panel, Davis Park. Davis is, ladies and gentlemen, can I ask you to remain in your seats, please? Thank you. Davis is the program director for the Los Angeles Digital Equity Action League, whose mission is to promote digital inclusion and broadband access among unserved and underserved residents of the county. Davis has more than 25 years of management and partnership development in technology, program design, testing, and deployment, among other older adult, low-income, and underserved communities. Davis, if you could come up, take the mic, and bring your team up.
Thank you so much, Kevin, and the team that brought us together. This is really, really cool. I mean, I've just been taking notes furiously throughout this conversation. But you know, I want to kind of get into this and really talk about like how are people using these tools and these telecommunication technologies today, and how are we using it on a more practical level. But I want to kind of hear. I want to kind of sort of start off with some stories, right, and like kind of how we got here today and what it is that we're doing in order to leverage some of the things that we've been talking about and like kind of put a face to it. So I want to kind of start off with you, Mr. Greg Doolin of Doolin's Restaurant. Has anyone heard of Doolin's? Yeah. Okay, got a fan club. You brought your peeps here. Checks in the mail, he's saying. So I kind of want to start with you, Mr. Doolin. Just kind of share a little bit about your restaurant and how COVID has changed the way that you do business, and what, if at all, you've been doing in terms of using the internet, telecommunications, and AI technology to help improve your business and operations.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm happy to be here. My name is Greg Doolin, and I'm a second-generation restaurant owner. My family started in the restaurant business in 1975, so next year is actually our 50th year in business. And so I inherited the business from my family, and we specialize in Southern home cooking or soul food. And we've been operating in South Los Angeles, you know, like I said, for almost 50 years. I run a store on Crenshaw Boulevard that I've operated for about 34 years. And so at that store, prior to COVID, we were a small mom and pop restaurant serving, can you hear me? Okay. Serving Southern home cooking. And it was cafeteria style, as far away from technology as you can imagine. You know, cafeteria style, you ordered your food, paid, and everything like that. We did later bring on a tablet to take on online orders, and some of my employees didn't like that much. You know, if the tablet rang too much, they would turn it off. And then I would walk in and see the tablet turned off, and of course, as the owner, I'm upset. And so, you know, that's how we operated. And then here comes COVID. And the world changed overnight. And I don't know if you guys remember, but restaurants were really impacted. A lot of restaurants closed, a lot of restaurants went out of business. We were fortunate to stay in business, but the dynamic of our business changed dramatically. We went from having a few online orders to multiple online orders, and it was a very difficult transition for us because normally we would have a few drivers coming in to pick up food for online orders, and then we went to dozens of drivers coming in to pick up food for online orders. And because of the increase in online orders, our walk-in customers suffered because we were so busy fulfilling the online orders that our walk-in customers had to wait longer times to get their food and their orders out. And so it was quite a transition. Additionally, during those times, the drivers weren't so nice. A lot of them were impatient, and some other things I could say. So it was a tough time. It was a tough time, and it was something that really taught me a valuable lesson. And so I remodeled my restaurant, and I took a lot of the things that I learned and the challenges that I faced during COVID and made some adjustments in my restaurant. For example, one of the things that I did was I built a second kitchen. And the second kitchen focuses on online orders. And so I'm able to separate my online third-party delivery business from my dine-in business. Additionally, the second kitchen gave me other advantages that I didn't think of at the time, which is it allows me a space to prepare food for my food truck. I own a food truck called the Doolinville Food Truck, and we do different types of events, and we're able to prepare food in that second kitchen. And likewise, it also allows me to keep that kitchen open later hours and open earlier. So there are a lot of advantages to doing that. But I was able to turn it into a ghost kitchen, and I can now do different branded products out of one kitchen, and all using technology. So I'll go into those things further. I'm going to let somebody else speak now. Okay.
Thank you. And your reputation precedes you. Every time I bring up that I'll be speaking with Mr. Greg Dulon, they're like, "Oh yeah, I've been there." And so everyone is always so excited. I mean, and I know you have a fan right here next to you as well. So David Kuo from Little Fatty in West LA, you also went through a transformation. You went through lots of changes, and you actually saw quite a bit of benefit as a result of some of the tools that you were using to increase operations and efficiencies.
Yeah, very similar to Mr. Dulon. We knew COVID wasn't going to be a little thing, and so we did something similar, and we used to work off tickets. We digitized everything, so it's all automated. Every station had we upgraded, every station had like a kitchen display system. We took the tablet and we integrated through Chowly, a third-party technology company that automatically, if you guys place the order, it'll go right to each station. It'll go right to the takeout window, so everyone knows what's coming out, what should be in this order. We developed a system where it's like 99.99% accurate. 4 people check the order before it takes out or before it gets picked up, and we're the highest performing single chain or single store on Uber. We have exclusive partnership with Uber, and I was just texting them right now. It's a big part of our business. It's actually doubled our business. And so through technology, we really were able to capture new customers and expand our business. And it also dictates what we do in the future. We always take into consideration third-party deliveries. We just opened the market, and so we use the same things that we learned from there. And we're also opening something new in downtown that's going to leverage a lot of technology and AI and giving access to people who normally would be a food desert. Look forward to talking about it.
Yeah. Well, actually, before we get to you, Todd, can you actually share a little bit about what your roadmap looks like, your AI and your broadband technology roadmap?
For us, it's really important because through data that we get, 80%, maybe 90% of orders come through a mobile app. And obviously we're exclusive with Postmates and Uber. We use AI, I'm not a tech guy, but we try to learn all these new technologies. And so we use AI. Right now we're kind of working backwards. A big part of AI, we're rewriting every job description, and sometimes there's a dishwasher 1, 2, and 3, because people get paid by experience. And so we have 100 employees, so we're trying to rewrite all these job descriptions. So we use AI for that. Also in our market, we have over 1,000 SKUs, so we use AI to help describe each product. And luckily, I have a friend that wrote. He sold his company. It's a payment platform, so he helps me with AI. If I didn't have him, I wouldn't know about this. He basically created an AI chatbot that picks up the phone. We never picked up the phone between 10 and 4, which is kind of dumb, but we can't afford to station someone there, and the people that are there aren't capable of answering these questions. So he made a chatbot, and we receive about 1,000 calls a month, and we see about an 80% conversion rate, and we know every order, someone that converts is $100, $105. So imagine we get an extra $80,000 because of this chatbot that I only paid $250 for. And so now he's actually, instead of playing defense, we're gonna go on the offense. So now we can feed it a phone list of all our loyalty card member holders. It'll call them with whatever special we're trying to push, or text them. But right now we're trying to do catering, so it'll be like, they pick up the phone, it's like, it's so-and-so from Little Fatty, we're doing a special, $150 off your first catering order. So we're just testing that out. And then, then I just asked them to write me an AI chat agent, or AI agent, where it actually learns to be me. And because I write a lot of recipes, we're launching like pasta program, we're launching a carniceria program, we're launching a Korean barbecue program, so I write all these recipes. So I asked him to learn who I am and what makes my recipe different, and see if it can write it differently, like I do. Yeah. So we're all just dabbling. Yeah.
I think you're doing more than dabbling. I think you're really kind of taking this thing to town. But similarly, Mr. Doolan, like you shared with me that you started like kind of using AI, but you didn't really think about it in terms of actually using it for your businesses. Can you tell me a little bit and share with others like how you actually end up using AI to help support your own business and operations and efficiencies?
Okay, first of all, I want to get a chat bot next week because we're not answering the phone between 10 and so I'm going to talk to you. But as far as AI is concerned, my son works for the New York Times, and he is helping them build out their AI platform. And so he is an AI specialist. And he was visiting me a few months ago, and he said, "Dad, you know how your children do. Dad, you need AI. You need help, Dad. You need help." And so he introduced me to AI, and he pulled up, I think it's Google Gemini or something like that. You guys familiar with that? And he typed in something, and it spit out this long response. I was hooked right at that moment, because now I'm able to use AI to help me with, it might be a meeting agenda for my managers, or it might be a marketing strategic plan for the restaurant. But I can enter information or ask it a question, and it will give me a suggested response that I'm able to tweak and to fit into what I actually want to do. And it takes me a long time to write things. And so this has personally made me much more productive in my own day-to-day workings in the business.
So, Todd, I kind of want to bring it over to you because you've heard like both from Greg and David like how they actually use these tools in their everyday operations and in some ways to really scale. Can you first tell us a little bit about yourself and AILA, and I kind of would like to for you to kind of share a little bit about what AILA has been doing to kind of support the small business community, or where you see the opportunities for folks like David and Greg to kind of get involved and engage with these sorts of innovations?
Sure. Well, first off, I'm married into a Taiwanese culture, so we love little fatties, so thank you so much for everything you've been doing. So Taj Raz here. I started at AILA back in 2016. I had a chatbot company way too early. We were attempting to build, back in 2014, we had partnered, my startup had partnered with IBM Watson to build a 911 operator. To do triage during disaster relief efforts. And the technology just wasn't really there yet, and so we pivoted like any other entrepreneur. And around that time, a couple years later, around 2016 is when Facebook Messenger was opening up their APIs to build out chatbots for small businesses, right? And so we were focusing on, basically like an agency model of building out those chatbots for more for artists and for music festivals, because that was the industry that we were focusing on. During that time period, I started building a meetup group to build community around other people that were interested in chatbots. And because we were super early, the start didn't really fully work out, but we decided to double down on this meetup group and turn it into the nonprofit AILA that it is today, where we really want everyday people to understand how AI impacts our personal and professional lives. And you can imagine in the year 2016, 17, 18, all the way the last 8 years, we've always had a number of different types of people that came from PhDs to people that had no degrees. And it was always fascinating because people really were interested in, again, like what is this technology and how will it impact their their daily lives. And we really saw a huge influx, of course, of interest when ChatGPT came out. And actually even before that, I think it was a couple months before that, when everyone was uploading their profile photos and getting these really cool, glam shots of themselves all through AI. And that was the aha moment when, I've been working on building community around AI for so long, where it was just like now an everyday person without a PhD, without any technical know-how, can actually have complete access to the superhuman power. And so we doubled down our organizations over since LA Tech Week, our organization is about 20,000 people that actively engage in our events. We do about at least 6 events per month. And so how we work with small businesses is that they show up to our events, whether it's a casual mixer and just getting to know people, or they're coming out to a panel discussion about climate tech or healthcare or biotech, entertainment media. We're all industry-specific events, right? They show up. And by showing up, they get to meet someone new, learn something new, and hopefully take home something that they can use in their everyday lives. And so it's been pretty magical and impactful work that we've been doing. And through doing this, we don't just do events, we also, through events, we do hackathons. So we actually bring smart people out to actually want to work on hard challenges that are facing society. And so actually during LA Tech Week, we hosted the largest generative AI hackathon, where on a Saturday morning, 500 people showed up, and on a Sunday morning, 100 projects were submitted. And it was seriously, I think, a Southern California largest generative AI hackathon, which we plan on growing next year with the support of the mayor's office and other really great partners. And so we do things from events to bring people together, we do hackathons for people to actually work and develop innovation and spur innovation. And then we also do workforce development type platforms. So 2 years ago, we started IDEAS, and IDEAS is an acronym for Inclusivity, Diversity, Equity, and Allyship in STEAM. And through that, we've started a cohort system where it's learning about AI. So the first one was for non-technical people, where it was a class of 10. They all were learning about AI in product management and AI in leadership. And it was successful in our books. It was 7 out of the 10 graduated from the program that then went on to advance in their own careers. And then we just finished up our second cohort where 100% graduated. It was 12 students. And we find that these interesting, these students through the community college network here in Los Angeles. So there's LARC, if anyone's familiar. It's a network of 19 community colleges here in LA County. I think there's 21 in LA County, but there's a consortium of 19. And so we worked closely with them to help be our marketing to find these really smart people that are interested in AI. And right now, 2 weeks ago, we started our third cohort of 12 students where they're going through this process of its cohort base. So not only are they learning online at their own pace, we're also doing some fun things to keep them engaged. Well, we went bowling, I think, last week. We're doing some,
do like things like bowling. They do, obviously they're learning about AI, and at the end of the program, they're going to have a project. And that project, where they're going to have to take all their learnings over the last 2 months, and they're going to have to go build a project. And we really hope that we can scale these types of programs, because more and more people need to understand how these tools work, whether you're a technical or you're non-technical. So it can actually support small businesses, right? So working with, developing voice bots, or developing a chat bot, or just everyday things like, take a photo of your fridge, or like, what's in your fridge. It's like, what can I make today? Like, I've got, some bread, I've got some, certain type of condiments, I've got, this meat, whatever, right? But like, how can you even hopefully use these tools to be more productive, but also hopefully not be as wasteful? Because now you can think of really cool recipes, right? Whether you're a top world chef, right? Or you're just, a mom or dad at home trying to feed the kids. How are you gonna be able to think about what you already have in your cabinetry and be able to create, recipe that your kids would like or whatever. And I think also it's really amazing about thinking about how, I think you guys touched on this earlier, how you can use ChatGPT or any of these large language models like Gemini or Claude, where it helps you with understanding action items in meetings, right? Who here, right, is day in, day out in meetings, whether they're in person or they're virtual? And what if you were able to record those things, have the AI be able to transcribe those meetings, and then be able to figure out what the action items were, the call to actions, right? And maybe even help you write those follow-up emails for you. Now, it's not gonna be perfect, right? It'll get you 70% there, but that 30% is obviously you, the human, actually like adding the final touches, making sure that, it sounds professional, sounds your voice and everything. And so, yeah, so through community work, it's been really impactful to just really learn from other people about how these technologies impact their lives, and we continue to build programs to continue this effort.
Well, one of the things that, I hope the day does not come when I walk into Doolin's and eat something that's been completely generated by AI. It's like, this is actually pretty good. I can do this at home, Greg. But I think that this, all this conversation about artificial intelligence and generative AI and how it's supporting our businesses, one of the things that we have not talked about and we haven't heard much about is the cost, right? Because these things, you got free ChatGPT, and $250 for a chatbot is like that's an amazing bargain. There are other externalities in terms of costs, I'm sure. But I guess my question is, I'm kind of going off script a little bit, is for you, Greg, and David, it's just like, how do you come to the decision when it comes to cost-benefit analysis, like in terms of investing in these tools, and whether you feel like it's going to be worth it or not?
You're right, that is off script. So far it has been relatively low cost. The ability to access artificial intelligence, is readily available, and it provides an immediate benefit that I've been able to take advantage of. One of the things that I'm embarking on now is also signing an exclusive relationship, but I'm going to go with DoorDash, and they have a lot of initiatives and they are bringing technology to small businesses like mine to help me access a customer base that I might not be able to reach. And so that is something that they're doing in partnership with me. They are providing the investment dollars to make this happen. And this is one of the ways that I'm taking advantage of this new technology. And I'm not a technology person by any means, but that's just one example of a small business like mine partnering with a larger company and taking advantage of their abilities to harness the technology and bring it down to a small restaurant like mine that I think would be something that I'm benefiting from, and the cost has been minimal, I think.
Yeah, so we always try to find a new solution for everyday problems. We even just recently reached out to Otis College to help with graphic design, things like that. So just yesterday we were introduced to Tip House. It uses an algorithm to track your tips. We have an algorithm, but someone has to manually enter them. It takes about 8-10 hours, and it's usually a higher paid employee, a manager. And so now we just saved 10 hours, and it only costs us $150. So that kind of makes sense. And we're going to use it for both locations, so that saved, 20 hours. And now they can focus on being a better manager, or like learning other things, or following up with other stuff. We just try to see what's out there. I know there's a lot of technology that promises to fix everything, but we kind of realized it's always up to us to fix the problem, and these are just tools to help you. Just like ChatGPT will write a 2-page thing for a job description, but we got to add in, like guest appearance fee, or what they're responsible for, for events, things that are unique to our business. Yeah.
Those kinds of metrics and kind of knowing in your head like what problem you're trying to solve is like really remarkable. Like, just being able to quantify it, it's like, oh, it's going to cost, $700 for us to just kind of calculate tips when you can do it for $250, right? I mean, that's sort of like small business thinking that's really, really important and critical. But Todd, can you talk a little bit about a little bit of the expense and the cost of incorporating and integrating AI into operations and businesses?
Yeah, so at this time, you can use free versions like on Bing, where you can use their AI. There's Claude, there's all these different free versions, but it's interesting. Big VC guy, Andreessen Horowitz, just came out of a podcast I was listening to yesterday. He was talking about, he has the capability to spend $1 million, right, on an AI, but it won't be any better than the $20 a month one that we all have. And so what's really amazing right now is that we have access to free and seriously $20 a month type of AIs that we all can have access to, right? As long as we can afford $20 a month. And it's super powerful. And of course, if you want to get more sophisticated, you maybe pay a little extra, but nothing crazy, maybe $10 extra, right? Where you get the enterprise grade, where you know that this data you're building like your AI agents, where it's based off your corpus, your own knowledge base. And that's a closed wall, knowing that those recipes, those trade secrets, that domain knowledge of your business, whatever is a restaurant or an accounting firm or whatever, is going to be not trained into the masses, right? And those learnings will only be for your core business, and it's pretty impactful. So I see now, like for examples, thinking about a lot of good examples. A good friend of mine used to work for Chow Now. And they're even thinking about how they're going to be introducing AI agents or even developing dynamic menus. So if I always go back to your restaurant and you know that I always buy that one item, it's going to be the first thing I see instead of me looking for the thing every time. And just you hope that RAT will help, me trigger, a more pleasant experience, right, for the consumer. Another thing I was thinking about, especially with your example of taking your rewards members and calling them or texting them, it's like on the fly using API calls programmatically, you can develop customized imagery, right? Those special packages that are just for that person, where you get the drink and the side and the entree, and it's like perfect for that person because that person. I have a high probability that if I trigger this ad or like this text message to that person right now, they're probably going to buy it because they bought it the last 3 months. They've always been buying that same item. So I think there's a lot of really interesting data crunching you guys can do programmatically, where you take the historic sales data that you have, and then you utilize AI image generation type of models that are trained on your data, right? So it's all proprietary to your photos, your repository, and then be able to serve up very customized advertisings, whether it is paid ads or direct-to-consumer text messages or emails. I think that's going to be really powerful and maybe even like increase sales. But again, like all of this is pretty affordable today, and it's just about how you kind of connect the pieces and kind of do the early trainings, and then over time it's just going to get better and better. And so I'm already fascinated about how you guys are already utilizing these technologies. I think you guys can always just like level up even again and again as you continue learning, because that's the best part about these tools, is that every time you see how it performs, you can constantly just tweak it a little bit more to get a better outcome. And so it's it's fun. It's fun hearing from, I normally don't get an interface with restaurant owners, right? Usually I'm talking to like studios or production companies and saying how they're going to be using these tools for content development. But I think the same really does, can work with small businesses like restaurants.
So, we obviously can't use any of these tools without broadband, which is one of the important reasons why we're here and using this as a conversation vehicle. But I'd like to kind of turn to you, Mr. Doolin, about how important is broadband and internet connectivity to you and your businesses and your customers, and kind of share a little bit about where Doolin's is and how you use it on an everyday basis and how your customers use it.
Thank you very much. First of all, a lot of the imagery, things that you described are actually available today, which is one of the reasons why I'm going to sign up with DoorDash, because everything you just described, they offer with the images popping up and suggestive selling and pop-ups and things like that. And those types of advantages should increase our sales by 60 or 70%, according to them. And so a lot of the things that you are just predicting are actually happening. But broadband and the internet is probably one of the most important things that impacts my business today. I was reading a survey recently, and 77% of diners visit a restaurant's website before they either go to that restaurant to eat or order a takeout order. So, when you have nearly 80% of your customer base utilizing the internet to find you, that's how we find our customers. That's how we present ourselves to the public and to our customers. We're able to display imagery or short videos, or more importantly, pictures of our product and our food, which hopefully will entice people to come to our location. They're able to read reviews and articles and things like that, which talk about us. And then let's not forget the Yelps and the Googles where people are leaving reviews. And I know a lot of people read the Yelp reviews and look at the Google reviews, and that is a very important way of obtaining customers, because if people are saying good things about you, that news travels fast, and so it's very, very important. And we utilize the internet to just, like I said, do our marketing, to reach out, to present ourselves to the world, if you will, and to sort of toot our own horn as to what we can provide and what we can offer.
And David, I know, like when we were talking, you actually shared that you have redundancy. You have you have more than one service provider coming into your restaurant.
Yeah, that's how important internet connectivity is. We have 2 ISPs at each location, just in case one goes down, we have a backup. But also, we kind of separate like the general one with our play music versus our POS system. That's the other benefit of that. But everything he said really rings true to what we're doing. So, but we're actually doing something different. We're opening something in downtown called Juntos. We're using technology to help serve an underserved community. It's in 1401 Main Street. There's a school across the street. There's also 400 low-income housing called William Mead. And so, luckily, Tracy said that all the Hackla buildings have internet access. The same person that made my chatbot, he sold his payment platform. It's the only payment platform that takes EBT online. And so, Uber, Toast, Amazon, Shopify, that's the only platform that you can run digital payments through. And so he really turned me on to how to serve the community better. And it's been proven that people that shop in store spend about $35, and then people that spend online with the EBT, they spend twice as much. And so I asked them why. He goes, imagine you're working hourly job, you don't have a car, you have to get on the bus, and it takes 45 minutes, and then you shop, and then it takes another 45 minutes to get back. You're not going to lug around 5 bags of groceries. So that's why the basket size is always so small. But also giving them a more better experience. I think the problem with EBT is like you have to sort your basket correctly, and some things are eligible or not, but also we're gonna have a little bodega in there that's 2,000 square feet with all things that speak culturally to the neighborhood. So trying to provide a better experience and leveraging the digital aspect of it with the ISPs and connectivity, making it really easy so they can actually get it through Uber delivered to their house or walk across the street and come and get it. Yeah.
So I'm, yeah.
Talking as a customer, a friend of mine loves your restaurant because of gluten-free, and it's very rare to find a Taiwanese or Chinese-based restaurant that has gluten-free options. And so I feel like even like how you serve your community is really important, and it's awesome to know about the expansion plans.
I think that like how we all are using these tools is really important to be mindful in terms of how we're able to do it only because we've got connectivity, right? When we're talking about economic development, we're talking about the support of small businesses in order for them to do what they need to do, they need connectivity, right? And these are like some of the more important stories that justify the need for additional broadband, for more broadband within our neighborhoods. So I kind of want to turn now to the audience. If anyone's got any questions for any of these gentlemen, and we've got a few minutes. I think we've got about 5 minutes. Yes.
Hi, good morning. I'm Debbie Corlin with representing LA Los Angeles South Chamber of Commerce, and either for Greg or for Dave, I'd like to know, you talked a little bit about the employees at the beginning, maybe not where they're at with the AI. So I'm kind of curious where they're at right now, how they're embracing as you kind of move into new pieces of whatever you're doing with AI, and also other things maybe you've done to sort of retain them, because as we know, we hear so much about restaurants not being able to keep employees for multiple reasons, things out there of wages going up and things of whatever. So just maybe if you want to comment a little bit on how your employees have any new things that you've put in and how they've reacted and all. Thanks.
Thank you for that question, and I would probably say that I don't think my employees have been exposed to AI on a personal level. I'm just getting starting to use it myself in the business, and seeing the benefit and enjoying what it, the added efficiency it gives me. But that's something that we'll probably have to do. I mean, when I have a meeting and I generate a meeting agenda using AI, I guess they're benefiting from it that way, but they don't really know that that's what I've done. They just think I'm smart, But to retain my employees, I just, try to create just a wonderful company culture, one that is supportive, one that has discipline and rules and regulations, but also speaks to our mission of providing a valuable service to the community that we serve. We happen to be located in an underserved community, and so we take we take our responsibility serious, and we try to create an environment for both our employees and our customers that is open, that is friendly, that is warm, and that is genuine.
So some of our employees use it for the job descriptions that I referenced, but a lot of SOPs, which is standard operating procedures. So for example, I just write like, oh, can you write me a SOP for employee incident or accident? And so it'll spit it out, and then I just edit it. Things like that really helps. One of my former social media companies, they used it to respond, have automatic responses to engagement. And I do encourage all employees to use AI when they can to save time. But yeah, that's how we use it.
Thank you. Let me just say, both of you, the restaurateurs, have shared with us the importance of AI from the perspective of being able to lean in on the human touch points of the business while letting the business side take care of itself through digital platforms. That's my biggest takeaway that I got from you both. Greg, you didn't talk about this, but Greg's business is a very important fixture in the community, and from a supportive services standpoint, for example, for his employees, because housing is so expensive. One of his properties, he's looking to house some of his employees. They'll definitely get to work on time. But with that, he does a lot of upskilling. So that I anticipate you'll have some AI platforms in the house and so forth when you do that. So I want to applaud you for those efforts. I do want to offer a challenge to Todd. You mentioned your cohorts have to do a project at the end. So Peter Diamandis did Singular University, where their master's program is designed that you set up groups of 10, and it's an X Prize format, and each your degree is based upon creating a business opportunity that can touch 1 billion people. But in between, you got one that hits 100 million, et cetera. And from that becomes all of these new digital things that we see today. So maybe establish an X Prize for those students, right? So that you can then monetize the ideas that they have at the end of that stream.
Do you want to respond? Well, so I think we've kind of come to the end of the program. We don't want to stand between you and the innovation tour. It's very exciting. That's going to be featured next, and then lunch will follow. But just want to kind of give all three of you a hand, and thank you so much for coming out here for what you do. And more opportunities later. So.
Thank you, Davis, Todd, David, Greg. Great panel, very informative. A couple things that stand out, going back 4 years when Greg was in our Business Resiliency Forum, he mentioned that, when a lot of businesses were closing their doors, he made more money by pivoting to digital assets and social media platforms, built a secondary kitchen, made more money that year than he ever had in years prior. Okay? So we talk about interconnectivity, right? Telecom, broadband, internet access, AI, and all these tools. Please take this back. It's important for us not only to continue to thrive, but also encourage the new businesses. So give them another hand. I'm going to take some executive privilege. One of our partners at BizFed Institute is the California Emerging Technology Fund. When COVID hit and a lot of companies scaled back on their investments for programs like this, they contributed to our work to the tune of about $250,000 over a 2-year period, which made them my friend forever. So I got a call yesterday from their president, CEO, executive director, Sonny McPeak, and we're going to bring in a gentleman. He gets 2 minutes, and then I'm going to cut you loose, 2 minutes, to talk to you about green technology. All right? It's an added treat that we didn't even tell you about. All right? I guess.
Thank you very much, Kevin, and thank you for allowing me to be part of this very exciting session. My name is Agustino Giles. I'm with the California Emerging Technology Fund. We have been working to close the digital divide for over a decade. It's great to see advocates like Davis Park that we worked on so many years ago. I just wanted to say that I appreciate all of the exciting things that are happening, and the fact that some folks brought up the fact of the digital divide. What about the folks that are going to get left behind? Is this going to be an exciting opportunity that's going to help expand opportunities for some, but leave others further behind? So that's where we come in. We have been working for a long time to make sure that low-income residents across California have access to low-cost internet. Check out our Internet for All Now page, and also digital literacy. And another important piece is access to computing devices. I have a fact sheet that's on the table for California Green Technology Initiative, where we will partner with companies dispose of your devices in a way that meets all of the standards needed for security and things like that through a partnership with Verizon, and then making them available to our target populations in certain communities. Your organization gets to choose which community these devices can be made available. So we're really hoping that we can set up some additional partnerships. We were able to set up a collaboration with Snap, with Adobe, and we definitely want to add to the list. So the fact sheet is on the table. Come talk to myself, my colleague Raquel, my colleague Gretel, and let's figure out what we can do. Thank you very much.
That'll do it. Now, I really appreciate someone that sticks by the timeline. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now comes the exciting part. This is the part where you get to see how this technology is being used in areas where you can't go anywhere else to see this. So we're going to give you a tour of this facility and some of the exciting technology that Verizon 5G Lab is innovating, creating, and applying. So what I'd like you to do, and if you do the tour, I got a great lunch waiting for you, okay? But you got to do the tour. So if you could congregate in the lobby, the general manager, Luke Wang, is going to give you a personal tour that nobody else gets of this facility, okay? All right, just congregate in the lobby, please. Thank you.
As we gather here, it's crucial to recognize that our world is rapidly changing around us, and those that harness technology will thrive. But what about those that are left behind? The answer may not come easy, but together we can create solutions that capture the benefits from the digital revolution for everyone. And furthermore, the digital divide is not just a technological issue, it's a social one. Millions of people lack access to the internet and the skills necessary to navigate the digital world that we live in. Imagine, this does not just stifle individual potential, it stifles entire communities and economies. Imagine all the untapped creativity that remains undiscovered simply because people don't have the resources to connect. Now, you guys also heard about the profound potential of artificial intelligence. Now, AI is not just a buzzword or a short-lived trend. It is a powerful tool that can transform businesses. You can use AI to streamline your operations, enhance customer experiences, and drive innovation. Whether you're a small business owner or a corporate leader, embracing AI can open new doors for your organization. Just think about the possibilities that you heard today. With AI, you can analyze data in real time, make informed decisions, and even predict market trends. The businesses that adopt AI today will not only improve their bottom line, but they will also position themselves as leaders in their industries. And now I want to take a moment to demystify the false truth that's out there about technology. It is not completely artificial. There is profound, immense humanity that is needed to leverage digital assets, whether it be social media, websites, or any online platforms to create impact. These tools allow you to communicate and express your branding, and it allows you to connect with audiences in ways that you have never imagined before. And as we build our digital presence, let's remember to inform one another of our knowledge and our resources. How can someone you know contribute? How can you contribute? And maybe offering local digital literacy workshops in your community, or advocating for policies that allow for equitable access to technology. It also might be partnering with organizations that share this vision and invest in programs that empower others, like BizFed LA or AI LA. But I'll leave you all with this. This is a very special time in our society. Most of you have lived through the analog era, and you have witnessed both the birth of the internet and the genesis of artificial intelligence. And we are currently building out the technological infrastructure for the future. So let's not just be spectators in this digital age. I encourage all of you to be champions of change. Together, we can bridge the digital divide, harness the power of AI, and leverage our digital assets for the betterment of small businesses. Because business is what makes California work. And the future is in your hands. Take action. Thank you all for joining us.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you again for coming today, for staying the whole day, for taking the tour. And I want you to be evangelists, to go out into the business community, into your personal networks, and share the information you saw today. It's critical that we integrate all the digital assets and the apps and tools that are available so that we can come up to speed and be all that we can be.